All right, hey everyone, got Adam here from Socito and Asim, CEO of Socito. We're here for another day of Socito Live. This is our 14th episode.
All right.
Being live via Periscope on Twitter, talking to you about all things marketing, especially digital marketing and social media. Now today I wanted to talk to Asim about a quote that he put into another article on Martech Series. If you haven't checked out martechseries.com, it's kind of all things the Martech world, the different tools that people are using, the way we integrate these tools together, and how we really fuel digital marketing campaigns. And they've been doing a roundup of posts about where 2018 is going to take the marketing industry. And so Asim, you contributed to this article, and your big point here was that marketers are going to stop gating content this year. And in fact, we've already seen this decline a little bit from a lot of brands, but kind of the biggest point that you were hitting on is some of the old ways of doing demand gen marketing just aren't working anymore, right? You said, competing for customers' attention is harder than ever. I think we all feel that kind of qualitatively on the marketing side. And that content leads that we nurture via email just isn't working as well as channels where we're timely and relevant, like social media or retargeting or something. Yep. So why is this changing? Why aren't they working anymore?
Well, I think first off, everything changes in digital marketing, right? Like it's always a cat and mouse game in terms of where is attention. Is it on social media? Is it on search? Is it on email? Is it in display and programmatic ads? So it's always changing, right? And I think what you're finding is that we went through this phase where email was really, really important. Mm-hmm. Collecting email addresses and nurturing email addresses was super important because for marketers, there was no way to nurture at scale. Right. The only way to have a direct relationship with your customer and continue to put your message in front of them was via email, right? So collecting that email address was super important. It was important for two reasons. One, because it allows you to nurture that customer, it allows you to have a direct relationship with that customer. And two, it's a lead that your sales team can sell to. Right. So let's address those things separately. So the first thing, the nurturing aspect, I think we all know that it's becoming more and more difficult to capture attention in the email inbox. So the value of the email in order to nurture against is going down. Mm-hmm. At the same time, you now have new ways to nurture through retargeting, custom audience building, where now you don't have to get into somebody's inbox in order to get your message in front of them over and over and over again. You can get it in front of them on Twitter, on Facebook, on LinkedIn, on YouTube, on anywhere around the web, because you can retarget and you can do targeted audiences. So the value of an email address in order to nurture has gone way down and will continue to go down in 2018. On the other end, you say, well, that's a valuable lead for sales. Mm-hmm. The problem is that sales leads, when it's a content lead, is not actually that valuable. Sure. Right? We're finding that a content lead is far less valuable than a demo request, than a pricing request, than somebody saying, hey, contact me, because they're still very early in the pipeline. So we're starting to see sales teams actually not want to call down on content leads. They would rather say, let me go outbound to the people that I want to talk to instead of you giving me a bunch of really top-of-funnel content leads. Right? They would rather say, let me go after my target accounts and spend my time there instead of going after these leads that are still really, really early in the cycle.
Sure. And we've seen that internally, right? A white paper webinar lead converts at about maybe 10 to 20% of the rate as an actual trial lead or something.
Oh, far less, right? A content lead for us typically converts from a lead to an opportunity at 1 or 2%. Mm-hmm. A trial or a pricing request lead converts from a lead to an opportunity at 40 or 35%.
Sure.
Right?
Sure.
So now the question is, how many people are you turning away because you're gating your content? Right? If half the people don't fill out that form, you've cut your audience in half. You haven't gotten your message in front of half the people that you otherwise could, which means that potentially half the amount of people are going to sign up for your trial or putting in a pricing request or respond to your salesperson's email when they reach out.
Right. So it brings up an interesting point, though. How do we measure the success of this content if we're not tracking leads, form fills, deeper funnel, conversions?
Right. So you have to look for what are the metrics of success around content. It's how many impressions did I get, right? How many people actually viewed this or read it? There are depth of engagement. How long did somebody stay on this page? What was the bounce rate of this page? What were other pages that people visited after coming to this page? How many times did they share it? How many times did they like it? Those are all the metrics that allow you to see whether or not the content was good.
Right.
How many people signed up for a piece of content is actually a bit of an artificial metric. It's more a metric of how good your landing page was and how short your form was,
Sure,
and
yeah.
maybe how good the content was, because they didn't read the content before they registered for it.
Right. Now, this does kind of have some downstream implications in terms of what a marketer's role is, especially in the demand gen side of things. If we're not, focused on filling our database with net new opt-in emails, and we're not building out these long email nurture programs as a result of it, as marketers, it almost seems like, it's becoming a responsive role. We're here as facilitators, conversation starters. We're out there where our leads already are versus trying to push the messaging out. So it's a lot more kind of real-time marketing versus long-term campaign planning. Or do you see it a little bit differently? Like, what is the role of the marketer in this?
I think, listen, there's still a buyer's journey, right? And you still have to map content against that buyer's journey. Now the question for the marketer, for the demand generation specialist, is to say, somebody's read a blog post or they read a piece of content, so they are at this stage in the buyer's journey. What piece of content should I recommend to them next? That piece of content can be right there on the web page.
Right.
It can come in the form of a retargeting ad. It can come in the form of making sure that your social media schedule or your publishing schedule is aligned to that buyer's journey versus just thinking about it as the next email to send.
Sure.
You still want to think about what's that next email to send, right? It's not like email is going away here. But I think what we have to think about is the value equation of how many people are we turning away because we're gating our pieces of content versus how much engagement are we getting on email that we otherwise could be getting in other places.
Right. It all sounds great, but let's talk about buy-in. Because I think when we start talking about removing landing pages, removing gates, sales team in particular gets nervous. It could mean less leads. So how do we actually know that this is working as an early indicator?
Yeah.
How do we get other people to buy into it?
Yeah. So the starting point is, what is your sales team working off of today? If your sales team loves your content leads, that is the majority of the leads that they're getting that are turning into opportunities, then probably don't do too much differently. Right? If you are in the place where I think a lot of B2B demand gen marketers are today, where your sales team kind of has content leads as like the lowest thing on their list, they would rather go outbound first, they'd rather go target accounts first, they'd rather go demo requests and pricing requests first, then that's where you start to think about, well, really what's the value of gating these pieces of content? Because that content lead just isn't that valuable. Maybe you're actually just seeding your database with non-opt-in leads and you're waiting for them to engage before you send a salesperson to reach out to them. Well, you don't need the form in order to do that. Maybe you've got a target account strategy. You don't need the form in order to go and target an account, right? You already know everybody in that account that you want to be going after, and you know how to digitally put your message in front of people that are in that account based on targeting through advertising strategies.
Right.
So it kind of depends on what your current state is. If you're that, the one where your sales team is working off of those content leads and that's their bread and butter, don't change much. But if you're starting to see that go away, then you've got to think, hey, what are these gated content forms really doing for me?
Right. Great. Well, Asim, thank you for joining us today.
Absolutely.
Chatting about 2018. We'll see if your prediction comes true,
We'll
but
see.
I think
We'll
we're already
see.
seeing it happen actually across a lot of SaaS companies right now making this change. You can read the full prediction for 2018 at martechseries.com or view some of our own internal predictions on blog.sosito.com. Thanks, everyone.
All right. Thanks, guys.